the Bomb Squad, where we cover underrated and overappreciated movies. Right now it's October. So we're doing a couple of things. The first thing is, so this is going to get a little confusing because we're going to put, technically, we did Trick or Treat in our time last week, but I'm going to put it at the end of the month because it's like the most Halloween movie ever.
Yeah,
And so
that's
it makes
true.
more sense to have it right before Halloween. And so this one we're recording later, but we're gonna release it right now when we're releasing it. So yes, I do want to tell you. Okay, so a couple of things. We have a deep dive, which deep dives are video essays, and it is about the history of horror. If you haven't seen it yet, please go watch it. Give it a like and maybe a comment because it's like right now Toho has a copyright claim on it, but I disputed it and they haven't said anything. So it's viewable right
Yeah,
now, but
it was
it's
still working
hidden.
today. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hidden from the algorithm. So you have to go find it. So if you're a subscriber, hopefully you go check it out. And if you could give it a like and a subscribe, that helps push it up. And maybe it'll kind of let Toho know,
Yeah.
like, hey, this is a good thing. But go check it
Yeah.
out, especially
Detect
right
it for
now.
us, please.
Yeah, exactly. I think right now with how media literacy is going, I think it's important to watch the deep dives, or at least I feel like it's kind of important to make them. So go check it out, especially about politics and horror. And you learn handy tidbits like that's there was a Steve Martin in Godzilla, but not the Steve
Not the
Martin.
one you think.
Yeah, just a different one. So a guy with a name is in a movie you may have not watched. So that's the important things you find out when you listen to our deep dives. But now that that's out of the way, oh, and now because we're switching it around, next week we have a short coming out. It's a monster short. It's on my other page, so go check that out. But that'll be next week is when it releases. So now that all of that fun stuff is out of the way, let's get started with a commercial. We'll see you guys back in a couple of minutes. Thank you so much for joining us on the Bomb Squad. Please give a like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to support our channel, other than that, the best way to do it right now is to watch our movies. We have the boxing documentary Humble Spirits. We have the Mexploitation thriller Borderland about missing cartel money. Those movies are both on Tubi. Also on Tubi and Screambox, you can watch the zombie drama, The Last Ones, and of course, The Empty Space, a cosmic horror about grief and loneliness. We hope you enjoy those movies. Tell us what you think if you do watch them. And of course, you can always follow my other YouTube page, which is my shorts page, to see some short films, or just join us here. Thank you so much again, and please keep supporting the channel. Welcome back, guys. So today we're covering, as you know, we're doing gateway horror. These are the horror movies that you might have watched as a kid that kind of got you into horror. Again, we started with Ernest Scared Stupid. We went to The Haunting, and that's kind of baby time. And now this is our second of our two R-rated movies. Next week I'm gonna be like, this is the first of our two R-rated movies because we don't know how to schedule things, but that's not important.
It's just how it goes.
Yeah, this is the real world, guys. Welcome to. We're giving you a look beneath the curtain. But yes, so today we're covering 1987. That was the Wizard of Oz reference. I wasn't talking
The dust on the floor.
Where this one's already not going to get monetized just because I won't stop yapping. But today we're covering 1987's The Lost Boys, directed by Joel Schumacher, written by Jan Fisher, Jamie Jemries, and Jeffrey Bohm, who also I think Jeffrey Bohm, he's only done Lost Boys movies. Like they're like, oh yeah, he wrote Lost Boys 1 and then he was involved in the two sequels. It's like that's weird. That he's only done.
I didn't
those
even know there were
things.
sequels.
And then Jen Fisher was. Oh yeah, they're direct to DVD sequels. They're not like we'll talk about it at the end.
Right.
They're not.
Right.
They're not the best. They're like they one of them brings back Corey Haim, and then one of them brings back both Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, but they're like the only ones returning. Very strange. But anyway, so this movie
Classic
stars
Bad War sequel.
Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. This is their first movie together, and they went on. You guys don't know about this, but Corey Haim and Corey Feldman went on to make a bunch of movies together. They were very popular. They were the Timothy Chalamet of the 80s. So they would also go out with IG models if it was available at the time. It also stars Jason Patric, Diane West, Bernard Hughes as Grandpa. Weist. Edward Herman. They're really covering all the old people before the stars.
Yeah.
Keith Sutherland, of course, and Jamie Gertz. Oh, and then also, of course, the greatest actor of all time, Bill and Ted's own Ted. Alex
Yeah.
Winter is in this movie.
And they call him Alexander in the
Oh,
credits.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Alexander Winter.
That's pretty funny.
And so, quick summary of this. Oh, here's some trivia facts. So, one thing is, so this movie takes place in Santa Carla, but it was shot in Santa Cruz. And every year they also show it on Santa Cruz, which is pretty cool. But they changed it to Santa Carla because they, like in the movie, it's referred to as the murder capital of the world. And then they didn't want it to be referred to as that. So they're like, you can shoot it here, but change the name. So they changed it to Santa Carla.
Yeah.
But I always think that's silly because, like, it's not like this is a movie about a crime syndicate. It's like this is a movie about vampires.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like nobody thinks
It's not
there's
real.
actual vampires there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
also, as I just said, they show it every year. So like they're clearly proud of the connection.
Right.
The connection they didn't want. Another funny thing is originally this was going to be directed by. So this movie, I mean, of course, the title is called The Lost Boys. It's about vampires, and so there's a connection between Peter Pan. But the
Right.
writer, he actually like it went much farther. Like he originally got the idea because he was like, "Wait, Peter Pan never ages. He flies, and he only comes at night. Is Peter Pan a vampire?" And I'm very surprised, especially with like Winnie the Pooh and stuff, that this thread hasn't been pulled more than this one movie. Because the idea of Peter Pan as a vampire is a really good idea. Well, it's like a fun idea, you
Like
know?
fairy tales
Like, you
as
can
like
have-
horror
Yeah.
monsters.
Yeah, you could have like Captain Hook, and
Right.
his hook is silver, and that's why he's always after Peter Pan, you know? He has
Yeah,
this
that could
group
have
of
been that was
Lost
a
Boys.
whole other career path for Tim Burton that he never went down.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was just
Tim,
something that never.
Tim,
really
what are you
Lost
doing?
Film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get Jenna Ortega as Peter Pan. You guys got a hate on your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was envisioned to make this movie. Then Richard Donner was attached to be the director, but then he left. And originally the story, all the kids were 11, 12 years old. It was really, really using the Goonies as inspiration. And so it was much more of a kid, like even Star, played by Jamie Gertz in the movie. She's the main love interest. In the original movie, she's a boy. And so it's more friendship based than
Right.
romantic. But Richard Donner had to leave to direct a little movie called Lethal Weapon, which went on to be a huge hit of its own. And
Yeah.
if you watch Lethal Weapon, there's a part where they leave a theater and it says they're playing the Lost Boys because it was like a little
that's cool.
cameo.
Yeah.
And so
That's
he
nice.
left and he hired Joel Schumacher, who had just got off of St. Elmo's Fire, which was a huge hit. And so the first thing Joel Schumacher said was like, okay, I want these. The only reason I decided to do this movie, he said, was because vampires are the only sexy monsters, and he wanted to do something sexy. And he was like, you can't be Frankenstein sexy, which Aaron Eckhart and
Well,
I,
fucking Maggie
Frankenstein, might have
Gyllenhaal
something
now.
to say about that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I know. Christian Bale looks hot. We're not gonna get into it. And so but he was like, okay, but I want to age all the characters and make it less like the Goonies and more like an actual straightforward horror film. And so they kind of reworked it. One thing you find out when you find out anything about this movie is that Joel Schumacher really, really wanted that guy, Jason Patrick, who plays Michael, the main lead. And Jason Patrick, apparently, like every interview that you ever ask Jason Patrick about the Lost Boys, the first thing he's going to tell you is how bad the original script was. And so
whoa.
Joel Schumacher said that he met with Jason Patrick every single week. And so just trying to convince him to do the movie. And he finally convinced him he was like, oh, you can have like free reign at the script if you want. So a lot of people, Keith Sutherland, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, Joel Schumacher, they all kind of credit Jason Patrick with kind of shaping the movie to what it is today, giving more chemistry to him and Star, giving more chemistry between the brothers. And so it's kind of like one of those movies, and I think that's why it's hard to make a sequel, because it's like it's kind of like the first Iron Man, where it was a mishmash and it just happened to glue together really well, and that's hard to
Right.
repeat, you know. And so
That's
yeah,
interesting.
that was a lot of trivia, but I really like this movie. And so now the movie is about a mother and and her two sons. They just got divorced, and so they're moving in with the grandfather who lives in Santa Clara, known as the murder capital of the world. And as soon as they get there, they find out that the reason that it is the murder capital of the world is because of a group of lost boys who happen to be vampires.
Yeah.
So now that I've been talking for 10 minutes straight with there was no back and forth in any
I
of
know
this
you had
trivia. You
so
guys
much
are like,
trivia to
We
get
had some
out.
interjections. We had some tidbits, some quips.
They're like, yeah, Jason
Yeah,
Patrick.
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
He is
Let's get
hot,
into
yeah.
it. So, what did you guys think of The Lost Boys? Had you seen it before?
I had seen it one other time, like back in college. So like, freaking 10 years ago, more than 15 years ago.
Yeah,
William,
kinda same.
I guess.
when you say back in college, was it because of me that you watched it?
I mean, I'm sure that I've definitely heard of
Probably.
it before, but I'm sure that you were probably somebody who was like, "Oh yeah, it's actually
Awesome.
good. You should check it out."
Yeah.
And so I watched it once, and I thought it was pretty good, but I had forgotten like almost everything about it. But it's like a fun movie, and
Yeah.
we'll get into it. But it's
It's-
on like it has a lot of good themes that like
Yeah.
kind of translate to the vampiric experience, and also kind of like childhood, but also like diseases that were kind of going around at that time.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Which is, I wasn't really expecting that, but it made so much sense. Like as soon as they start being vampires, I was like, oh wow. So it was like, yeah, it's interesting how you're talking about the script with like how it took like a long time for it to kind of like come to fruition, and like it does feel like there's a lot of thought behind the script, even though it's kind of like on the surface sort of like a comedy horror. Yeah, I thought it was great. It was a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, no, I agree. I had seen it before. Yeah, it's very like I almost feel like Joel Schumacher's certain like gay but straight style that he like puts in like movies like Batman
Yeah.
Forever,
Yeah,
where it's like really kind of like is like on all cylinders here,
Yeah.
you know.
And I will say, like, it's very famous. Joel Schumacher very famously, like, his most famous movie is probably Batman and Robin, and that's
Yeah.
the one that everyone clowns him for. But
That was
before,
my first one.
even before Batman Forever, which is it's a little bit more realistic, but it's also silly. Joel Schumacher made some pretty dark films. I mean, even Saint Elmo's Fire is pretty dark. But you go back to
Yeah.
Lost Boys or Falling Down.
Falling
and
Down,
it's
yeah.
8mm is like, ooh, that movie's intense. But it does. He does
the
have a
movie's
certain.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
forget
but I
that he
like
did that
it.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
He has the dark side.
He-
Falling Down is like
He has.
crazy.
Yeah, we'll get to Falling Down eventually when I'm not
Yeah.
banned on Twitter. But he has a pretty dark side. But either way, he has a very distinct style where it's very flashy, and we'll get into it as we go along. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things that makes this movie so good. So like, we start off this movie. One of the cool things about it is that we start off like kind of flying over the boardwalk, and then we get to it. The whole movie takes place at a boardwalk, or most of it.
Yeah,
That's where all the kids hang out, and I think that's so cool. As
yeah.
we lived in LA, I mean, it was cool to go on.
I want to mention
Venice.
something really quick
Yeah.
about this too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boardwalk is sick. This whole little town is awesome,
Yeah,
minus the vampires. And all these kids can do when they're moving in is complain about leaving Phoenix for coastal California.
right.
No offense to any of our Phoenician listeners, but what?
Some offense. You should leave.
I've lived in Phoenix for a little bit, and coastal California is chill. It's cool.
No one should live in Arizona.
I know,
That's
it's kind of like,
ridiculous.
yeah. I was also like, someone was like, there's like so many times where like, we don't even have this. It's like you live in a fantasy world.
It's
But yeah,
actually-
so it starts
That's
off.
funny that Twilight also starts with her leaving. Like I think it's either Phoenix or just Arizona to like move to a nice place and being like depressed about it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh was like, let's talk more about Twilight right now.
You know, if we're talking about adolescent vampires,
And I think it's actually Arizona. Or no, she goes to live in Arizona. That's right, guys. I know all about Twilight. She goes to live at Arizona when she goes back to with her mom halfway.
Yeah,
through the
when
movie.
she's leaving her mom's to move in with her dad,
Yeah.
and she's like,
and
"Oh,
then she goes back.
I loved Arizona," and
Yeah.
she seems like she would. She's terrible.
And they just
Anyway.
put the ISO higher. But so yeah, so this movie starts off. We're on the boardwalk, which is such a cool location. And like you see the gang. We're first introduced to the gang actually, to David, played
Yeah.
by Keith Sutherland. He's the leader of the gang. And also, Alex Winter is dressed in the most like they're all dressed really cool. I think Keith Sutherland's the
They're
only
all
person
glam. They're
who's
so glam.
ever who's ever been able to pull off a mullet because he's wearing a
Yeah.
mullet. And the reason originally they wanted him to have long hair, but then he saw Billy Idol, so he walked into the hairstylist and cut off the top part of the head and left the bottom part. He didn't tell Joel Schumacher, and I guess they just went with it. But it does give him a distinct look. And so
Yeah, it looked great. Yeah.
it starts off and they're on the carousel and they start like they just at this point they just kind of look like street toughs because they're like they get in a fight with some punk kid or some punk guy and his girlfriend, and then the
Yeah.
security guard like grabs him. He's like, I thought I said not to keep you here anymore. And then he's like, get out of here, punks.
Yeah.
And so
They even
then
kick out the guy that they were messing with too.
yeah
Which
very
that's kind of like a
Democrat.
big part of this movie is like every kid looks disenfranchised. Like they all
Yeah.
look like they're kind of like part of a counterculture or so. Like there's no like really like nice kids kind of like walking around in this city.
Yes, the grimy like
Yeah.
80s of it all.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's one of the funny things is that they said that like one of the things about it was that they because at the very beginning, well, not yet, but there's a scene later, and we'll talk about it then. Let's get to it. And so then they kick him off, and then we cut to the security guard, and he's like walking to his car, and he's like, and then he sees something flying towards him, and like he starts running, and then something grabs him, and he leaves, and then we cut to the titles, and then we get to the three kids. So it's Lucy who's the mom, and she's bringing her kids here, and then Corey Haim plays what's the Corey Haim's name?
Oh man. Sam.
David?
Sam. Yes. He
Oh,
plays
yeah.
Sam, and then Jason Patrick plays Michael, and then they're kind of
Michael,
driving
yeah.
around and checking it out. They're playing The Doors. People Are Strange.
Yeah,
which is a
People Are
cool
Strange.
song.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I remember this movie having a really good soundtrack, but it just kind of has two really good songs that it plays multiple times. So you're like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, it actually does have a pretty good soundtrack because then it has Run DMC later. It has some, and also the funny thing. That's one of the reasons that Keith Sutherland agreed to do this movie because I think it has like early Guns N' Roses or it has early metal bands that he really liked.
Yeah.
And they're like, Keith Sutherland really liked these bands that don't exist anymore. And I'm like,
But-
that's not a reason. That's not a
but-
reason to
but
be in
yeah.
a movie.
It opens and then it keeps playing this like it's like this child choir, and I don't know the song, but it just
It's
like,
Cry Little Sister, but I don't know who's.
Yeah. It's some like
I don't know
religious
who
kind of
the
like thou shalt not want or something.
Thou shalt not
Well, they're reading the
kill.
Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the children singing the Ten Commandments in a
Yeah.
haunting way, and it's a really good. It really sets the mood. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then they kill him, and then I think one of the good things about this movie, they get to the grandpa's house, but the best thing about this movie is the chemistry. Like not just the chemistry between Sam and Michael, the two brothers, but even the chemistry between the mom and the kids and the grandpa and the kids. There's a lot of like
Yeah.
you can kind of tell where this could have been a kids movie because they really spend a lot of time with the relationships.
Totally. Yeah.
And how they relate to the adults, you know. Like there's a scene later
Yeah.
where the mom is telling Michael, she's like, hey, are we still friends? And Michael's like doing the
Mhm.
teenager thing where he's like, yes, mom, we are. And she's like, well, let's act
course.
like friends then. You know? And it's
Yeah.
like, that's such a mom interaction.
I
Um,
know.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Like the way that they set it up too, it's like there's realistic tension between everybody, like the two brothers and the mom, but it's like tension that's like there's also like a lot of laughter and like a lot of like love between everybody, and like they are having to move in this kind of messed up situation, but you can tell that they're all like this like nice family unit. And I feel like a lot of like horror movies, like when they start off and they try and like build up like this like happy-go-lucky home, it comes off as like cheesy and schmaltzy. But this one
Yeah.
does like a really good job of like
Yeah.
you're gonna be scared for them because this is a realistic family, but you love them all so much already.
And I'll tell you right away, like one thing that helps is the dialogue because there's like a scene where, like Josh was saying, like they're complaining. Like there's a very funny part where they tell the grandpa, like the grandpa's giving them their rules and their very grandpa rules, like don't touch my
Yeah.
Oreos, Snickers. This is my fridge thing, and he's like doing it very seriously, like you think he's gonna be mad, and then they find out he has a TV guide because they can't find the TV, and they're like, "Oh,
Oh,
Grandpa,
yeah.
you have a TV guide?" And he's like, "No, you have a TV because you have a TV guide." He's like, "No, I have a TV guide because I don't need a TV." And then he like
Yeah.
closes the door, And then
It's
there's
like,
this
don't rip
scene
the
where
sticker off. He'll rip the
yeah.
cover. That's his rule.
And then Sam is like, "We don't have any. If there's no TV, that means there's no MTV. What am I gonna do?" And then Jason Patrick or Michael's like looking at him. He's like, "Sam, we're flat broke. Like this is the
Yeah.
reality of the situation." You know?
He's not just looking
Actually,
at him. He's looking at him while he's like lifting weights in like
Yeah.
a sunlit room.
Which,
It's like,
and
okay,
he just
Joel.
like they literally just brought in those weights, and he decided to do curls, which again, very teenager thing to do.
This is also like It's funny because I did not know that this was originally a very Goonie style script, but it really does make sense because a lot of this movie is almost like the Goonies from the older brother's perspective, who's like annoyed because it's like
Yeah,
very much just
Totally.
Michael being like, "Ugh, I just got to get out of my house," like my annoying
Right.
like brother and everything, and that's almost like I don't know. It almost like captures the discomfort of like being a teenager and just being annoyed, like almost better than
Yeah.
the adventure
Totally.
aspects, if that makes sense. You know.
and I
Yeah,
think
100%.
that Jason Patrick does a good job of like he's in that kind of mode where he's almost out of college or almost out of high school, and like he's kind of the man of the house because the dad's gone, but he's not really, and
Yeah.
he can still like he's kind of treated as the man of the house, but he can still be grounded, and it's such a weird time in your life where it's like I feel like an
Yeah.
adult, but no one, but like, and sometimes they see me as one, but sometimes they don't, and so I think the whole movie
Right.
plays with that idea of like,
Totally,
do these
yes.
kids like what if you put these kids by themselves, and so that
Mhm.
happens. And so the first night they go to the most famous scene, if you
They
know
go to the
anything about the
greatest
movie.
concert of all time.
Yeah.
And so and here's what I was gonna say earlier is that the movie, like apparently Joel Schumacher brought like 2 trucks full of costumes to like because they wanted people to look a little different, like make it look like a little outlier of California. And they bought these 2 trucks and they put out a casting call. And like in this scene when they're like seeing the town folks, there's like cholos, there's like punk guys, there's like everyone, no one has a shirt on. And the casting or the wardrobe person was like, "Oh yeah, when they came here, that's just how they dressed. So we didn't even use the 2 trucks full of wardrobe. We just
Oh,
had
that's
people
rad.
dress how they
That's so
normally
good.
dress." Like there's like this movie probably has more mohawks per capita than any other movie in
Yeah,
existence.
yeah.
And
God, I
of
would love to have
course,
been in that city.
who's the main attraction at this concert? It's a
Miss-
big buff guy
Mr.
who's
Sacks.
Yeah,
Who's
if you didn't
super
know this
sweaty.
was a Schumacher joint, you get to this scene and you're like,
yeah.
there we go. Click those
He's
boots
like-
together and pull out some ice skates, my man.
He's
Yeah.
either sweaty or covered in oil, like gold chains,
Yeah.
like leather, just shirtless, of course. Just
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like a
going-
Ninja Turtle villain, like right
And he's
away.
He's like his hair is both very long and slicked back,
With like curly,
right.
the thin
Yeah.
curls.
yeah.
And so there, for some reason, every single person in the town is enjoying the hell out of this concert because
Yeah,
that
they're
beach
all
has
there,
like,
dude.
apparently there was 500 extras, which is so many extras for a movie.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, you think Phoenix is better than this?
I
You're
know.
not going to get this anywhere. Are you kidding me?
And also to be even more fair, when me and William first moved to LA, the first week there
Oh,
was a
yeah.
free concert on Santa Monica
Best
Pier. We
Coast.
went to go see Best Coast. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does happen.
And it was awesome.
It's based in real life, and then also we became vampires. But that's for another. That's for another
Right.
day. That's another
Now
story.
we're going to be here forever. We'll
And
have
yeah, the
plastic.
sack. It's and this is the thing I love about '80s movies or just movies in the past that they don't have as much now. Is that sax guy? I mean, he doesn't have any lines. He's just playing the sax as hard as anyone has ever played the sax
Yeah,
before.
dude.
But he's such a character and he's so memorable that people like there's like
Yeah.
Twitter accounts that are just cosplaying as the sax guy, you know, or there used to be when Twitter was fun. Now he's probably like talking about the right agenda or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But there was a time when Twitter was worth going on. And so it's just funny. And so as they're there, they're kind of walking around, and again, Michael's just kind of being annoyed by Sam. And he's following this girl and that he likes, who's played that's Jamie Gertz plays Sky, and he's following her. And
Twister
Sam is
fame.
like the whole time, he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, oh, you like that girl? Are we following that girl? Is that what we're doing? Like, it's such a little brother
No.
move. Like, shut up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't want to admit that I'm following this girl because it's annoying, but also I'm clearly
Yeah.
following this girl. So, like, let's not talk about it. And so
And
then
like
he's like,
he,
don't
he
you?
does have like a supernatural attraction to her. Like when he looks at her,
Yeah.
it's like he can't look away. Like
Yeah.
which that happens in real life, but it's
Yeah.
like there's something about her. It's weird. Like he's
Yeah.
like
And her,
transfixed.
and on her end, it's the same because it's not like
Yeah.
he's just following her. They're both
Right.
looking at each other with these
She
love
gave
eyes.
him the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, or Michael's like, don't you have anything else to do? And he's like, oh, and he looks at something. He's like, actually, I do. And so he goes, they break off. And then we cut to the mom, and the mom finds like a little kid like in the boardwalk, and she's like, oh, I'll help you. And he takes him into this video cassette store. And that's where we meet our other main character, Max, who is the
Yeah.
owner of
Who
the
is
video
this
store.
guy?
He's been in
Yeah.
a lot of things. That's Edward Herman.
Okay.
And he's been
Yeah.
like
He's a face you've
bunch
seen
of like
so
Yeah.
many times.
He always looks like a nerd with glasses.
yeah.
I guess he played FDR looking exactly like he does in this movie. So just
Yeah,
imagine
Richie
that.
Rich. He's in Richie Rich. Annie.
Just-
Anyhow,
He's
real
in
famous guy.
Avatar, or the Aviator, Avatar, Men of Valor, like a bunch of
yeah.
Intolerable Cruelty. He's one of those guys he'll do like an Oscar-winning movie, and then he'll do The Shaft about an evil elevator. You know, like he's not
Right,
picky;
right.
he's here to work.
And he's the
But he
same
plays
character
Max,
every
and
single time.
Yeah, he's like the nerdish adult. And so he plays
Yeah.
Max, and he helps them find the mom. And he's like, "Oh, Lucy, what do you want here?" And that's where we see. This is where another one of my lines that is really cool, where all the guys are walking past the video store clerk, and then Alex Winter goes, "There's only one reason why I come in here, to talk to you." And she's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "That's actually not cute at all. That's very creepy."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's like
creepy.
80s. That's 80s cute.
Yeah,
No employee
It's
wants
not
us.
modern
Do
cute.
not show up at the woman's work and harass her.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say that. And then Max is like, "Hey, I told you guys not to come in here anymore," to kind of show that Michael
These kids are
or
bad.
David and his group is kind of known throughout the whole boardwalk as troublemakers, you know.
Yeah.
And so they leave.
They haunt the
then-
pier. Yeah.
Yeah. And Lucy, she needs a job because, like we said, they're in financial issues. They're dead broke. And so Max gives her a job. And then we cut back to, now we get back to Sam, who the thing that he was obsessed with was a comic book store. And this is where we meet our two. And that's the cool thing about this movie. Like, we've already talked about how kind of iconic David is as Keith Sutherland. Then the grandpa is such a memorable character. And now we're
Yeah.
going to even more, like every character in this movie is so well thought out. Even if like they're
Mhm.
silly, they're really like William was saying, I feel like despite the fact that this movie was kind of written as like a brainstorming session between multiple people over years, everyone, it seems like there's so much passion behind the characters, behind the story to
Right.
kind of get it right. I think that's what really comes across. But now we meet the Frog Brothers,
Yeah.
played by
Iconic. I've only seen this movie
Corey
twice. And they're
Feldman.
iconic.
Yeah. They're, and like, well, it's played by Corey Feldman and Jameson Newland, who hasn't done as much as Corey Feldman. But these are their parents work in the comic book store, and one of the cool things about it is if you watch this movie, in the background of every comic book store scene, you see their old hippie parents just drugged out of their minds in the corner, just
Yeah.
kind of sitting in the back.
Yeah.
And
They
that's
look
another
plastic.
thing about this. Yeah. That's another thing about this movie that we'll talk about in a second when they get to Star. But it seems like a big part of this movie is all these kids, because they're all 80s kids, have ex-hippie
Right,
parents.
right.
Like between
Right.
Lucy
Just
and now
running
their
amok.
parents. Yeah.
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 And so they start talking to him, and like they do that comic book thing where they're like, "You don't know anything about comic books," and he's like, "Actually, I'm looking for a Batman number 14." And then they go, "Oh, that's a serious book." Which is,
Yeah. A serious
Yeah.
book. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, actually, I need to put this Batman here because he hasn't even like Superman hasn't even
Doesn't know
discovered
about
Red Kryptonite.
whatever,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's like
yeah.
I
they haven't
also,
invented Red Krypton.
because I was watching this on it was on like Amazon or whatever, and they'll do like little like trivia, and whoever was writing the trivia for this movie was so pedantic because it was like Usually trivia is like, if you look, he didn't drink from the cup that second. You know, one of those things. But in this one,
Right?
it's like,
Yeah, silly stuff.
he says he's a serious comic book collector, but he bends all the spines when he picks them up. It's like, shut up, who's ever writing
Damn,
this.
that is correct.
Is the most like comic book guy writing that. Like,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think so,
Sure.
He
buddy.
touched it with his
Child.
bare fingers.
But yeah,
Napkin
so then
aside.
they start talking about comic books, and then there's another funny scene, and this is actually a deleted scene from when it was a kids movie, because they asked Corey, or they asked Sam, they go, "How do you like Santa Carla so far?" And he's like, "It's pretty good. If you're an alien." And it's like, first of all, you've only been here for one day, and it's you went to the coolest concert ever. What are you
I
talking
know.
about? But
I know.
also, a subplot from when it was still a kids movie was that Sam thought that the grandpa was an alien because he also the grandpa does taxidermy. We forgot to say that,
Yeah,
and that's like a
yeah.
big part of his character. And so there was like a huge subplot where Sam was like trying to test the grandpa, which I think would have been too much if it was like, oh, we're testing the grandpa see if he's an alien, but also
a lot of
vampires
plot.
exist in this
Right,
world.
right.
Yeah,
There's just so
yeah.
much, but
It's a lot
but
of
they
plot
hand
in
him.
that
They're
kid
like,
version.
School, too much mumbo
Yeah.
jumbo.
this
Yeah.
is
Which
This
that might
is
be
where
racist
the
now. I don't know.
I don't
the
know.
Frog Brothers are trying to draw him in. They're like, you should check out this comic, and it's like the Curse of the Vampire. And
Yeah,
he's
they
like,
won't
I'm
just
not
tell
into
him straight
horror
up.
comics. They're like, you should really read this. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. They're
He
like,
goes, "I'm
no,
not
read it. It's
Yeah.
important.
So then
Yeah, this movie really
we
nails
back.
like that, like kind of like sixth grade authority of like
Yeah.
kids trying to be like, that's not me, dude. And it's like
Yeah.
the relationship between those three kids. It's like it kind of reminds me of like Boogie Nights whenever Mark Wahlberg and John C. Reilly first meet, like that kind of like tense, but you understand that these guys are going to become like fast friends the next scene. And I feel like those
Yeah,
three,
yeah.
that relationship between those three kids was like so well done. It was so fun.
And it's also funny because like we're not really getting across how the Frog Brothers talk, but they all talk like they're the bad cop in a good cop bad cop situation.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
when they say
It's
they're
like,
like
it's a
There's stuff going on
kid
here, dude.
trying to act tough,
Yeah.
but he's kind of
Yeah.
stupid. And I do think like that is exactly
Mhm.
Yeah.
like
there's
where it's like, oh, he's putting up a front, but he's trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
You know.
because they're
Right,
also
right.
dressed like every scene. Corey Feldman has a red bandana like
Yeah, he's like
Rambo.
Rambo.
And it's
Yeah,
like they're
yeah,
clearly
and,
like
a camo shirt.
It's the same thing we were talking. I don't remember what movie we were talking about, but it's like you could tell that. Oh, Ernest Scared Stupid. It's like you can tell that these two characters think they look cool as shit when they just look
Yeah.
like 90-pound like 13-year-olds who
To
are
be
dressed
fair,
in army
though,
fatigues. You know,
To be fair
I
to
used
them,
to feel that exact same way every day of my life.
yeah.
Sam is dressed. He has like
Yes.
7 different
Oh,
patterns
yeah.
of like he's
Yeah.
like, you know, like
And his
he's
huge
like
jacket.
he's every
Yeah.
member of the Burger King Kids Club at once. Like
Yeah.
he's just
Oh,
wearing
yeah.
like
Oh my
20
gosh.
things with clashing patterns. It's like every
and
80s
he's wearing,
style
in this
together.
scene. He's wearing a suit jacket that's too big for him. That's made
It's
of
like a
patches
duster.
of fabric,
It
so
goes all the way
every
to the ground.
and it's like, where did you get that? Because your dad did it,
Yeah.
like the grandpa.
Right.
There's no way the grandpa's wearing it. But yeah, that's how we're introduced to the Frog Brothers, and then we cut back to Michael, and as he's chasing Sky, and he starts talking to Sky, and that's where he finds out her name's Sky, and that's where he's like, "Oh, your parents are hippies too, huh?" And then he goes,
Oh,
"Want
isn't
to
it
get something
Star?
to eat?" And she's Star. Yes, I keep saying Sky, but no, it's
It
Star.
is Star, yeah.
And he's like, "Let's go get something to eat," and she's like, "Sure." And he's about to get on his bike, but then, there's like that's when David pulls up. And, oh no, that's a later scene. This scene is he's
Oh, yeah.
following her, and then Sam
What?
catches up to Michael, and then then Star gets on David's bike, and David kind of gives
Right,
him
they
that
just
look
bail.
like, "Haha, you lost, buddy."
Sorry, boy.
And we're gonna talk about this in a second
Sorry,
once we get to
buddy.
that
Yeah.
second scene I just described. But then there's a
Yeah.
funny scene where Sam's like, "Ha, she stiffed you. Come on."
Yeah, yeah.
And then that's the end of that scene. But it's like, I mean, you were following her around. She didn't know what you were doing, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's a part where this is like, I just want to bring this up. Earlier when they're talking to the grandpa's like, they're like, Sam goes, "Is this really the murder capital of the world?" And their grandpa's like, "Well, I'll tell you one thing. If every single person in Santa Clara who's died stands up, then we have a hell of a population problem." But it's like, that's one of those things, like, that sounds good, but that's true of literally every town in America ever. Like, there's always going to be more
Right.
dead people than live people.
Right.
Of course.
It's just generally, right? Unless the town was founded like 2 years ago. Yeah, you're just gonna, you're gonna see that.
Yeah.
That's
But this is, I believe, this too is where we see our second crazy death scene.
Yes. And
Because
I want to
this couple's insane, right?
And I want to read. So we cut, and this is a cool thing about this movie that I think they did it because of budget. But the two punks who are at the beginning who are fighting with David, we cut back to them, and they're in a car,
Right,
and they're
scene
reading.
is insane.
They're reading a
in
comic.
the dark. By the way, she's reading a comic, laughing heartily in like almost pitch blackness.
And I want to reiterate, this is like, it's called like it's like one of those Archie comics, and I've never seen anyone laugh as hard as this lady's laughing at reading these comics. She's like, "Oh my god!" It's like, there's no way anything in that comic is that funny, lady. And then she's like, "What's that?"
No, as she's doing this, her boyfriend is trying to Pepe Le Pew style, like, put the moves on her, like, exaggeratedly going for a kiss as she pushes him. It is like, he's like, "Hey, have you seen Looney Tunes? Do that, but like more."
Yeah, but even more so.
Be as comically uninterested in him as possible.
And also, these guys don't even, like, they're older. Like, you would assume they have a place to stay.
Yeah, they're like in their late 20s or something.
They don't have to go to the cliffs, to the bluff.
Yeah. And so then their car like gets ripped apart and the guy gets taken off. And one thing is that the reason that we don't see the vampires at this point is because they're so the budget, they couldn't afford to show the vampires flying. So they just did it this way, where you see a hand or you see their POV of them coming down.
Yeah, you see the thing getting ripped off, but you don't see what happens.
I will say that that's probably the better move, because of, like, I feel like watching a vampire fly, like, once you get to that point, you kind of lose a lot of credibility.
Yeah. That's all. That's like, vampires are so cool because like they're so close to reality almost, but then like even like that movie and like Let the Right One In, like it's like a very serious tone the whole time and it's very dramatic. But then like the first time you see the vampire in that movie like climb up a wall, it's just like, well, okay. You're a vampire.
That's one of those things that Sitters did well, where it cuts away. It either like it cuts away just as they stopped flying or right when they're about to fly. So it's like, okay, you can figure out what happened without actually seeing a guy zipping around the sky. You know?
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. And so then after that, we cut to the next night. And Michael's still, like, now he's talking to Star. This is a scene I was talking about earlier. They talk. That's where he goes, "Oh, your parents are hippies too." And then she gets on, or she's like, "Oh, let's go eat." And then Michael and the gang pull up and they're like, "Let's go, Star." And then, and so she goes with them. And then Michael says, David says, "Hey, Michael, do you want to meet us at this pier?" And then there's a pretty cool part where Michael goes, "I can't beat your bike." And then David goes, "You don't got to beat me, Michael. You just got to stay or keep up." And it's like,
the way that he talks to Michael in this scene is like, it's so good. Like, it's like so like not what you expect at all. Like he's calm and cool and scary, and it's like you just want to know everything that's going on with this dude David. And like,
there's something.
It's great.
To me, it's like funny because if you're just hearing the dialogue like as written, it like David Kiefer Sutherland really just comes off like a huge dick. Like, but Kiefer's so charismatic that it like works. You know, where it's like you need him basically looking like a swarthy vampire king to really like to sell it. You know, yeah. Because otherwise you'd be like, why are they hanging out with this guy? He's just kind of a jerk. You know.
Yeah. And then, so then they start driving. And I will say, like, this scene it's always funny because we have you ever seen the movie Karate Kid? That movie also takes place a lot at the boardwalk. And I kind of feel like this is what's happening in the summer. The Karate Kid's what's happening in the summer, and then this is what happens in the fall. Is that they're just vampires
Yeah.
and karate tournaments at this boardwalk all year long. And so
Right.
then they start chasing each other. They're driving, and it's a pretty cool. Like one of the cool things about this movie is how much they're able to get away with their limited budget. Like they fill up the whole screen with fog, so you don't really know where they are. You don't know how fast they're going. It's hard to like kind of figure out a tone, but that's also what Michael's experiencing because he only sees
Yeah.
David and all the people running around them. And there's also a cool
Yeah, it's
part
very
where Alex
dreamlike,
Winter.
you know.
Alex Winter's like this. He goes like, "Yeah," and it's like, "Oh, this guy's just having a good."
That's his main
He's
line in
having
the
a
movie
good
is
time.
yeah. Like he has that one
he's-
line at the video store, but for the most part, he mostly just says yeah.
Yeah,
part
he's
of the
really into
Millhouse
just the fun
of-
aspect of being a vampire.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the second in command.
Yeah. And so then and there's a really, so we're in the fog and there's a really cool scene. We kind of zoom out past the fog and we realize that we're now zooming past a cliff and we see the lighthouse and it's there. And so we see a lot of cool stuff. And so then Michael and David are playing chicken and you can tell that, well, again, keep in mind, Michael can fly. So he's not as worried.
Right.
I mean, David can fly. And so Michael finally turns and he almost falls. And then they almost get in a fight. And Michael says to David, he goes, just you. Which
Yeah,
again,
just
it's like,
you.
everyone in this movie is so cool. They're doing cool shit all the
Yeah.
time.
And he punches David in the face. Michael does.
Yeah.
And then that's like the moment that you're like, damn, David is cool because David takes the punch and then looks back at Michael and just like smirks at him. And you're like, wow,
Yeah.
this guy's
Yeah.
freaking wild. He
He
takes a
no-sells
punch like
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, come with us, Michael. And so then they go to
Yeah.
the very cool hideout.
Come to my house.
You're like, let's go to home. And see, another thing, and like maybe I don't know how intentional this was, but and maybe it was just an experience I had, but I feel like when you're in high school, like middle school, high school, sometimes you just end up hanging out with whoever's free at the
Totally,
same time as
yeah.
you. And so like sometimes like, oh yeah, yesterday I hung out with the school bully for like 3 hours because we didn't have anything to do. You know, like I don't know,
Right,
like
right.
sometimes you're just hanging out with random groups. And that's why like it's
and it's
always
interesting
funny when
because
you
it's like
see-
you don't know who these people are. They have a reputation, and you're like, what is their interior life? It's kind of interesting. It was cool.
Yeah. Because you see like Mean Girls and it's like, oh, girls are all in cliques in high school. But it's like, yeah, guys aren't really in cliques. They'll single people out, but they're more like willing to hang out with whoever. They're just way meaner about
Yeah.
it, you know, like
Yeah,
and so
that-
that's what this feels like, where it's like Michael's with them because he wants to hang out with Star more, and that's just part of the deal, you know, like you just gotta hang out
Right.
with these guys as well.
Yeah.
Basically,
and-
the bad smoker type kids. You know.
And I will
Mhm.
say another great thing about all the movies we've covered so far is the production design. Like, I mean, the boardwalk, they didn't do that much. I mean, that's just a cool
Oh.
boardwalk. But like the grandpa's house,
Grandpa's house,
this
this
like
house.
so they go to their house, which is a hotel that after an earthquake it sank into the ground and they've just kind of taken over it and they've put a giant Jim Morrison poster
I
on
know.
one
That
side.
was so funny.
Yeah, I was like, all right, you guys are okay.
Well,
And so they're all hanging out and they're like, let's have some food. Let's eat some Chinese food. And then there's a kind of racist joke, but it's still like it's not. It's so he gives them some rice, and Michael's like, oh, I don't want any rice, and he's like, hey, can 1 billion Chinese people be wrong? And it's like,
oh
what is that
yeah.
joke?
Yeah. Such
Because
a
it's not.
weird.
It is racist, but it's like kind of like just drawing on the. I mean, they do eat a lot of rice. Like if it was Mexicans, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, we do that.
Right. It's not like mean
but-
spirited. It's just weird.
Exactly. That's the way I
it's
was
just
okay.
it's a yeah, it's almost out of place, but like yeah, that would be like funny to this like dumbass, you know.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So then Michael starts eating it, and then this is another great line read because Peter Sutherland goes, "Hey Michael, how are those maggots?" And Michael's like, "What?" And he's like, "Maggots. You're eating maggots, Michael? How do they taste?" It's like, and he looks down and there's maggots, but the way he goes, "You're eating maggots, Michael. How do they taste?" It's such a funny line. You're like, why did you say it like that? But he looks down and now there is maggots, and he drops it, and then he goes back, and they're back to being rice.
Just
It's back to being
rice.
rice. And then he goes, "Hey, do you want some worms?" And he shows him the worm. Or he's like, "You want some noodles?" And he shows it to Michael, and it's worms. And Michael says, "That's worms." And he goes, "Worms?" And he pulls out a bunch of noodles and eats them. And this is
Yeah.
like another cool thing about the Lost Boys that they don't really talk about is that they're really following traditional vampire stereotypes because like that's an old vampire thing from like the book Dracula where he can kind of manipulate your mind to see things that aren't
Right.
really there.
Illusions, yeah.
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 And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, a lot of modern movies don't really play with that idea because it's too hard to really grasp. But like, it would make sense
Yeah.
that they would be playing, and it makes even more sense once what they're gonna do, what they're about to do. So
It
after
also
that,
gives you the it's like when you like reach in, it's brains,
Yeah.
like in like
Yeah.
a
Right.
haunted house. So
right,
you are getting the Halloween experience out of this movie,
Right.
too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
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 So yeah.
And then and then before we get to the next part, then we cut back to Sam, and he's actually reading the vampire book and learning about vampires, and then the mom or the grandpa brings him like a stuffed beaver. He's like, "This will make your room look cooler," and then
Oh,
he puts it
yeah.
away, and he has a. This is another very famous scene. He has a poster of Rob Lowe, and he's wearing
Okay, I'm glad that's
half-
famous because what?
Yeah.
He's wearing a cut-off tank top, and
It
his
is the
jacket is half
sexiest
off,
Rob
and he's
Lowe.
like
Yeah.
looking like this. And here's
This
the
is-
funny thing.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing about that because Joel Schumacher has been asked. They were like, and this is why like directors' input is so important because they asked him like, "Oh, were you trying to imply?" Because Joel Schumacher is famously gay. They're like, "Are you trying to
Yeah.
imply that Sam is gay in this scene by putting the Rob Lowe poster?" And Joel Schumacher was like, "No, kids love posters, and I just worked with Rob Lowe, and he's a famous actor." It's like because I don't think you realize like how gay that image
Yeah,
looks.
that's what I
And
meant
it's
when I
right
said
over
it's
his
like
closet.
I
gay
know,
but
it's so
straight.
funny.
Yeah, it's like it's not a
Yeah.
hot woman that you'd have when you're like 13, you know, like
Right.
a bikini
And it's-
model.
And
It's
like,
even
you know,
funnier
maybe
'cause
Sam
on
is
the-
gay. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it wouldn't change the plot really. And then
Yeah,
they
not
cut
at
to
all.
his other wall, and he just has a picture of a lady who's like just wearing a sweater, and she's like younger, but she's like looking just straight at the camera. And I was like, "Is this a movie still? Like, what is this?
Right.
Like,
It's like you get
where
that
are you
picture
getting
for
these
the fashion.
posters?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like a nice looking photo of like I want to look like that, and then you got Rob Owens like I want that on top of me right now.
Yeah, I
It's like-
really want that.
I think Sam
Yeah.
might be gay.
It's almost the Ryan Murphy thing where even when he's trying to show how like straight someone is, it's just like the gay bleeds into it. Or he's
Yeah, like
he, just- he
can't
doesn't
help
he doesn't
yeah.
get the concept fully. You know,
It's like
Yeah.
how Quentin. I bet you if you ask Quentin Tarantino, like, why do you put so many feet scenes in your movies? He'd be like, so many what? Because like he clearly just likes feet, so he
I
thinks
love
with
saying
that
he's just
mentality.
blinded by.
Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't realize. Yeah. But then we cut back to Michael. While that's going on, Michael. Then they finally go, "Hey, Michael, you should drink this juice." And that's where Star goes up to him, and she's like, "It's not wine, it's blood. Don't drink it." And Michael's like, "It's not." He's like, "Oh, sure it is." And he like chugs the shit out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, that's such a smart scene that they set it up by giving him two fake things.
Right.
So that when they offer him the
Right.
blood, even when Stars tries to stop him,
Huh.
he's like, "Shut up. I'm a cool
Yeah.
guy."
And
so
like
he
that's what you
drinks
do.
it.
Like the first time you go to like a high school party, you're like, yeah, this is what you do here at these things.
Yeah.
And it's like that peer
Yeah.
pressure.
Of
like
course,
real.
I'm going to do shots and
Yeah,
immediately
exactly.
because I'm 16. Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah.
I also feel like in high school, like I chugged more. No, I didn't drink at all in high school. But when I was younger, I chugged
Same,
more than you ever chug as an adult in your whole entire life. Like for some reason, when you're like in high school and early college, you think that like everyone's just chugging it up at bars and stuff. And then
Right.
once
yeah.
you come of age, you're like, "Oh, nobody ever chugs. That's like a child thing." Okay.
Yeah.
It's like cool.
Yeah. So and then for those
And this
of
part,
you,
this scene also is my
hate
favorite
or-
line read too. Oh,
go ahead.
no, you go for it. Go for it.
Okay, for those of you who miss having too much or not enough crossfades, well, guess what? This movie is for
Here we
you
go.
because there's a scene where he's drinking the wine and it's a close up on him. We're looking down on him, And then the guys are partying and they're literally spinning like their sweaters in the air, like yeah, or their leather jackets.
Yeah.
And it's half faded into each other, so it seems like they're dancing around him. And then one of the best things is that then he looks at Star and they're both cross faded into each other. And then it cross fades into David, like watching both of them. And he's like spinning on a chair and he's going, Michael, like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, hell yeah, this movie rocks.
It
Yeah,
does
yeah.
capture that this sort of getting drunk when you're a teen and you're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
What's happening? Am I in the same room? Yeah.
Right.
But what
There's this, like,
were
whole
you
other
gonna
world
say?
Who's like right. Oh, I love the part whenever Star is like, "Don't drink it, Michael. It's blood. You don't want to have to do this." And then one guy in the back just goes, "Chill out, girl." That's it. That's all I got. Just love the way they say that line.
all the vampires have like random cool one-off
Yeah.
lines. Like they barely have personalities outside of like jerk friend
Yeah,
group,
they have
but
no
Yeah.
personality at all.
they
Just,
have
like, cool guy.
some amazing lines. Yeah.
And so then they drink it, and then they go out, and this is another really cool scene. There's like a big poster that's based on this scene, but they go out to a rail bridge, and Michael's like, "What are we doing out here?" Because now Star's not with him anymore. Like, what are we doing out here? And they're all like, "What are we doing?" And then they're like, "Oh, hey, Stevie, why don't you tell Michael what we're doing out here?" And then one of the guys goes, "Who's asking what we're doing out here?" And they're like, "Michael." And he's like, "Oh, Michael
Oh.
wants to know." And I'm like, I think we've gotten further apart from the teasing that we were going to be like. I don't understand what the
Right,
point of
right.
teasing. And so then they're like, "We'll show you." And I think it's Alex Winter's the first guy. He's like, "See you later,
Yeah.
Mike." And he drops down. And then they all jump off the bridge. And Michael's like, "What the hell?" Oh, and then before Keeler Sutherland goes, he goes, "Join us, Michael." And then he drops down.
Yeah. Like
And then
he's
you
such, like,
hear
a
them laughing.
sage.
And he's such like Keeler Sutherland keeps it between threatening and like I want you part of the team. The whole it feels less like Keeler Sutherland wants to kill Michael and more like he wants Michael to join the team, but he also wants him to know like I'm in charge of this group. Like you're not in charge.
Right. It's
And
like
I
he's
think
mostly
that's
making him feel like
cool.
if you don't join us, you're gonna miss out. Like he's like
Yeah.
it's really badass down here, dude. And like you just
Yeah.
got here and you're an idiot if you don't go
Right.
with this,
It's
and
the,
if you
it's
don't,
the
that's
ultimate
fine.
peer pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Michael's like, "Oh, free." And then there's like, it's also a very teen thing where like Michael and this group, like they still don't know if they're friends. They've been antagonizing each other the whole time. But once they all drop, he's like, "Oh no, what happened?" Like I'm
Right.
so worried about these guys. They don't
Guys.
really like me. And so then he hears them laughing and he realizes that they're hanging off of like a rail underneath the tracks. And so he goes with them, which again, it's like, man, you would need to peer pressure me with everything you got for me to even attempt to jump on that thing.
Right. Yeah.
But also another reason I like this scene is because this would be something that teen vampires would think to do. Like it's such a stupid like, oh, this would only be conceived by teenagers who could fly. Like, and
Right.
so they're all hanging off of the rail, and then a train comes, and the train starts shaking everything, and so they fall one by one. And Michael, of course, is the last one because he doesn't. He's the only one who thinks he's gonna die, and so eventually he falls, and then you just see him falling, and he's literally like this, which is one of the funniest effects, but it works for the movie. But he's like
Yeah.
ah.
Yeah, he's like falling through the
and then
clouds.
it cuts to him falling in his bed. Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Then
And
he
that's where
lands
he,
on his
like,
bed basically.
yeah. And another teenage thing, because Sam immediately walks into his room and opens the window for no real reason.
Yeah. Wake up,
Then he's
Michael.
like, "Give me the phone." He's like, "Sunglasses." Like, you gotta wear sunglasses to talk on the phone. It's like, shut up. It's so bright and
Sometimes,
early,
yeah.
even if you're not a vampire. It's
And yeah, and it's the mom calling, and she's like, "Michael, can you watch Sam tonight? Because I got a date with Max." And then Michael's
Yeah.
like, "Sam's old enough to take care of himself," which again, very true. And also the grandpa's there. Like I don't know what Sam needs.
Yeah.
But the mom explains that Michael's been going out every single night, so she really wants him to spend time with Sam as opposed to going now.
Running
So it's
around.
more so
Yeah.
like to do this, and then so Michael he finally says yes, and then the mom's like, "Thanks, Michael. This is a really big favor." And I was like, "Is it? This is like just normal family stuff."
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's another scene where the grandpa and he's like gonna take Sam into town, and he's like, "All right." They both get in the car, and then he starts the car, and he goes like 1 foot, and he's like, "All right, that was fun." And Sam's like, "I thought we were going into town." He's like, "It's as close to town as I like to get." It's like you set up
was
that
such a
whole
random
elaborate
part.
joke.
Like, okay.
Just comedy business, you know.
And when I
Never even comes back
originally,
around.
when I saw it, I thought that what happened was the car broke down right away, but that's clearly not the case because they use it later.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then it's at night, and Sam is being watched by Michael, and they're just kind of hanging out. And that's so then Sam is going because they're outside, and Michael's gang is like they come outside and they're just revving their engines and like showing their motorcycle bikes, and then eventually they leave because they're like Michael, and eventually they
Yeah.
leave, and Michael goes, "Sam, go take your bath." And then it cuts to Sam, and he's like
Does
singing
he?
a song.
He obeys.
He's like in a complete bubble bath.
Take your
It's
bath.
like how old
Oh,
is
that was
he?
so
Maybe
funny.
he does need a babysitter, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um,
Go take
oh,
your
and they have a
bath.
dog.
That's one of my notes.
They do.
That was the best
They
line
have
of
a
the
dog. Nanook.
Yeah.
Nana.
Nanook
Yeah,
is
they have
the
Nanook.
dog.
He's a sheepdog.
Yeah.
And so Michael goes to drink some milk, and he can't drink it. Another staple of horror films, they can't eat human food, and so he gets all sick. And then he can feel something upstairs that he wants to eat, which is Sam, because now he's becoming a vampire. And so he gets to the door, and Nanook goes crazy and attacks him. And then Sam goes under the water for like 10 minutes as Nanook attacks Michael, and they fight outside and they fall down the
Yeah.
stairs. And so he finally gets out and he's like, "Where's my dog?" And that's where Michael comes out. He's been bleeding because Nanook bit him. And then
Mhm.
Sam goes downstairs and he notices that Michael doesn't have a reflection in a very
Or
cool scene.
it's
When
like
you see
half-
Michael and you see Sam put his
Half
hand
a
Yeah.
reflection.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's a very cool scene, and he's like, and then another great line where he's like runs back up the stairs and he's like, "You're a vampire, Michael. Wait till I tell Mom."
Yeah.
Sam,
And
how old
dude,
are
he's
you?
like so accepting of vampirism. Like as soon as he
I
realizes that
know.
real vampires in front of him, he's just like, click, click, boom. That's what this is. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Like he's like not even
he's
like.
more annoyed that people
"What?"
don't jump on, yeah, as fast as he does.
Yeah.
And so then he locks the door and he starts calling the mom, and Michael's like trying to relax, and then Michael wakes up because he's like trying to go to sleep, and he wakes up and he's on the roof of the room, and he goes to the window and opens it. It's like, no man, if you're flying away and you can't control it, you don't go out the window. Duh, you're gonna fly into the sky. But anyway, he does. He's a teenager.
Yeah.
And then he like starts floating across the thing, and the mom is on the date, and she gets a phone call, and she's talking to Sam, and then Sam, like while he's talking to the mom, Michael's feet like appear next to the window because he's flying past, and then
Right.
he's only hanging on by a phone, and he gets on the phone. He's like, "Mom, don't listen to him. He's full of shit."
Hanging on by a phone.
Yeah, but then the mom or Sam freaks out, and the mom starts running to the boys, and then eventually Sam helps Michael come back inside when they kind of figure out they're vampires. And so then but then the mom comes and she's like pissed because they're trying to hide it from her, which is like the rest
Yeah.
of the movie is just them trying to figure out the vampire thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Had
So
to save
then
him.
and then he calls the Frog Brothers, and first he calls the Frog Brothers like, "I think my brother's a vampire. What should I do?" And they're like, "Oh, very easy. Get a steak, kill him."
Right. Yeah. Murder his ass. He's like,
He's my brother. I don't know if I can do that.
well,
Yeah.
that's the only way to do it. I don't know what to tell you, guy.
And then
You call
they
us.
realize they're like, wait, if you kill the head vampire,
Right.
that'll
and-
stop it.
Which is that
And
true? Is that
also-
like a vampire myth? Is that
That's a
something
pretty
that's
big
happened
vampire thing.
before? Okay.
That comes
I
up in
never heard
other.
that
It
before.
comes up in The Simpsons, so I assume that they based it on something
They
factual.
researched it.
Yeah, because in In Dracula, Lucy is a vampire, and when they cut off Dracula's head, she stops being a
Oh,
vampire.
right.
Um, spoilers for a 200-year-old book.
Yeah.
They they killed
You can
Dracula in
find it at your
Dracula.
local
I don't know if
Barnes
you
and
guys
Noble
knew.
in a cool hardcover.
Yeah. They kill Dracula. If you watch Dracula Uprising, they don't do that.
But they suspect, they're like, who's probably it? The guy trying to date your mom.
Which is
Video
another
store
weird
Right.
thing because they're like, oh, Max only comes out at night, and they do all this as like that's a wild leap, Sam. Like you don't think that the guy who's leading the group of vampires might be the vampire leader? Like he just completely skips over David.
I
It's
know.
like David
right.
looks like the vampire leader.
But
And-
yeah,
and
he
they-
also-
leads them. He's the cool one.
Michael is technically a half vampire because he hasn't feasted on humans yet.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
he-
That's why he still
which,
has half
which is
a reflection.
also that is also part of the lore where first you have to drink the blood, and then I think once you finally drink your first human. I feel like they did that in Interview with the Vampire. We have to drink it like 3 times. It's complicated, but usually
Yeah,
it's like
everyone
it's
has
like it's a process
whole
of
ritual.
stages.
I mean, the thing about vampires is that sometimes,
Sometimes you
like,
just get bit once and you're done.
Yeah.
Like Blade and stuff like that. But
or sometimes you get bit and you don't become a vampire, just die. I don't know. But
Yeah.
so everyone has
That-
different.
that's always been
But
confusing
yeah,
to me. Yeah.
yeah. So then they're like, well, let's test Max, and then the mom's gonna bring him over for a second dinner because the first dinner got ruined because she ran away. And then Sam is
I know,
like,
she
"Oh, I
didn't
just
say
got
bye."
scared. Sorry about that."
Yeah.
Yeah, she run. There's a very funny scene where you see her run away, and then Max just kind of looks out the window, and she's like running
like,
to her
"Aw."
car.
Yeah.
And so they're like, "Well, let's test him." And then the next night, Michael's about to leave. And also, oh, this is another funny scene where Michael, she's like, the mom's like, "I really want you to meet Max because I really like him," and Michael's like, "I got plans ready." And then the mom goes, "Things are gonna get a lot different when school starts." And it's like, your lady, your husband, your sons are vampires. Like, pay attention.
Yeah. How could you not?
So
know?
then he opens the door and he meets Max, and Max is like, "Oh, well, I won't come in until you invite me in," which is a very big tell as to what the twist of
Yeah.
this movie is. If you know anything about vampires, and also the grandpa's like watching Max, and he doesn't really trust him. He closes the door. And Michael goes,
right, and you think it's just
"You're
because it's like dating
invited."
his daughter, but no.
Yeah, yeah. And then Max is like, or Michael's like, "You're invited. Come on in." And so then the Frog Brother. Oh, and then also they bring the Frog Brothers. Like,
Yeah.
so it's the Frog
Just the
Brothers,
worst kids
Sam,
to eat
and
dinner
then
with.
Max.
It's like,
And they don't
oh
talk
great,
at
these
all.
two
They
are
just
here.
sit there
Cool.
mean mugging. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
just
Rambo and
glaring at him.
Idiot.
Dude. And they
Yeah,
set up a
and-
series of traps. Well, tricked like tests, basically.
Because the first thing they do is they give him garlic, and then the next thing they do, which doesn't work, the next thing they do is they try to spill holy water on him, which doesn't work.
It's
And
just
then
like,
the
"Ah, that's
next-
cold.
Yeah, because they're like, "Is it burning?" He's like, "No, it's cold." It's like, also you would know if it was burning him.
Yeah.
And then they and then they flash a light on him, and nothing works. He has a reflection. But eventually he's like, "Okay, this is weird." And then he goes, "Sam, I'm not trying to take over for your dad or replace your dad. This is good." And then they decide
Yeah.
to have a plan for a dinner the next night. And then while all that is happening, David has met with Michael, and he's like, "Oh, we got to show you something for real now." And that's where Run DMC's playing for some punk guys.
Yeah.
I
That's
guess Run
fine,
DMC
you know,
transcends.
But they go
There's-
full monster mode. in
Yeah.
this scene.
Yeah.
And there's a cool part where they're all standing in a tree, and then Michael just kind of awkwardly goes into the tree as well. And then they're like, "Come
Yes,
on, Michael, join us!" And you see their fangs,
Yeah.
and that's where they fully attack. This is the first big scene. There's a really cool part where there's like a bald dude, and David bites like the back of his head, like not even his neck,
Yeah, and he like rips
or
Yeah.
like
out
his
entire
arm. He's like,
scalp.
He goes
bites
savage
like-
mode.
and there's just
This is
blood
easily
like
the most violent
shooting
scene.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. That was crazy.
And then there's another. This is one of my favorite lines in the whole movie, because then they like come out and they go, "David, now you know what we are. Now you know what you are.
yeah.
Join us." And so
And
that's
he's
the
like
deal.
crying in the sand.
And then-
he's like,
Yeah. he's not very happy about it. And then, so what does he
No.
do now that you found out that your fate is to be a bloodthirsty killer who feasts on innocent blood? He goes to Bone Star in the house,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Yeah.
you did this to me, and she's like, well, we're both half vampires. Like, we don't need human blood. Me and there's a little kid that they have.
Oh, there's like a
they're
little
like,
kid one.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
there's a little kid vampire. They're
Laddie.
like, we don't need
Or what's
blood,
his name?
but it's getting
Yeah.
harder. Yeah, Laddie. And then he's like, all right, so are we gonna have sex or?
He's like, I am
Enough
still
about
a
all this
teenage
vampire
boy.
Can you
talk.
take this kid home?
Let's
Can you
get
it out
that
of
straight.
Can get this kid out of here. And also, can we turn this
This is
giant
weird.
Jim Morrison poster around because it's staring at me while I
Yeah, we
take
need
off
some.
my
Let's
coat?
get some Rob Lowe in here. I need some more pictures of Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah,
around the
that'll
set.
really help.
That'll get me going.
Sam stole my poster. And so then they wake up and then they like, this is where, and then so like, they're like, okay, we got to kill the head vampire. We think it's David because it's not Max anymore because we just tried him and it wasn't him.
Yeah,
So then
they,
they're like-
lead the Frog Brothers. This is cool too. They
Yeah,
lead the Frog Brothers to the lair, and I love that they all sleep like actual bats, like bunched
Yeah.
up on the cave.
Well, 'cause-
like,
Yeah, they go
you know?
into under the hotel. There's this tunnel that has a cave in it, and they're because they're like, we're looking for coffins, and then eventually they're like, uh-oh, and they look up and they're all hanging like bats, and they all have bat feet.
Yeah, they're all like
They show
clinging
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
they're all
a
sleeping like
nature documentary where you see bats asleep. It's
Yeah.
like, that's
Yeah,
how they're all
yeah.
doing it.
And
or
then also-
famously in Batman Forever, Val Kilmer sleeps
Oh, yeah.
upside down like a bat.
no, that was Batman Part 1. where he
Yeah,
does
that's
that.
Batman Forever. That's
No, Batman Part 1 is not Batman Forever. Batman Part 1 is
Oh.
called Batman.
Val Kilmer also
Yeah.
does it though.
Yeah, but there's a scene in Batman Part 1 where Vicky Vale wakes up and she looks over and Michael Keaton's just swinging, like hanging upside down.
Just cool
It's
guy.
like, that's not the bad part you should be emulating Batman, but all right.
Yeah, you're not
And so they're all
supernatural,
hanging
yeah.
upside down. And also, they gotta be the deepest sleepers of all time because every single time anything happens in that cave, the Frog Brothers and Sam scream as loud as possible.
Yeah, they are not careful. They are
Yeah.
terrible.
And while they're doing this, Michael is taking Sam and the kid Laddie into the car to like get him out of there.
Yeah, escape.
And
yeah.
so then there's also a very funny scene where they're like, hey, they're like, which one's the head vampire? And they're like, I don't know. Because, or they're like, I don't know. It could be any of them. And he's like, well, let's start with the little one. It's like, okay, I don't know who it is, but I'm just going to guess it's not the little one.
You think it's Alex Winter?
I
Yeah.
know. There's no way it's Alex Winter.
I do love this scene though because one, they are correct. Like all their vampire lore is right, and they do actually set up the kill pretty because they do decide they're like, okay, we're just gonna shove a stake through this guy's heart. It's Alex Winter, and they do it and it works. But the second he gets the stake through,
Yeah.
they're like freaking out and panicking because
Yeah.
he wakes up screaming as he dies, like blood's
Blood
going
flying
everywhere. And it's very like
gross.
it's
blood.
like yeah, that's
well,
that's
and,
what would happen. if you, like,
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
Murdered
this,
him.
you
and
know?
see, here's a cool, and it's also funny because they're like, "Good night, bloodsucker," and they stab him, and then he starts screaming, and they're like, "Ah!"
yeah, they immediately lose all composure. It's so
right.
good.
That's like so
and then
Goonies too.
his screams also wake up the other vampires,
Yeah.
and that's when everything just becomes like chaos. you
Yeah,
know?
so
right.
they start taking off, and then Michael and all them start chasing them, and then they almost get him, but they hit the light, and then there's another cool scene because then David's like, "I'm gonna kill you," and it shows him, and he's all vampired out, and then one tear falls
Yeah.
down off of his eye. But here's the thing.
Oh, I didn't
So
know
this
that.
was before they really perfected contacts. And so the contacts weren't made of what contacts are made of now. They were made of glass. And so they
Yeah.
could only
Oh, what?
shoot for so long before it would irritate. And so that scene of the tear is not actually acting. It's just that his eye
It's how
literally
painful
being
it is,
irritated
yeah.
by the contact in just the most perfect way possible. It's like,
Wow, that's so cool.
yeah.
Crazy.
That's such
Yeah.
a, and it's
Yeah.
like one of my favorite parts because it is like that's the only time that you really see David feel like he doesn't have control. So I think it's like super
Yeah.
poignant
'Cause
that he
it's-
cries.
It is because it's
Totally.
right. He almost has them. He almost has Sam,
Mhm.
and then they get his
And then the
arm in
hand.
the light, and he pulls it back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like,
And it
the
catches
one thing
on
that
fire.
actually hurt him for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they get back to the
But-
house and they're like, okay, we got to prepare because
We gotta
we only
battle.
have 2 hours till sundown, and they're definitely gonna come murder the shit out of us as soon as
Yeah.
they wake up. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so they're getting
And-
the holy water, the garlic, the steaks. It's all
Yeah.
coming together.
They get
and
a
they
big old
even
bag
like
of
one
garlic.
of a very funny part is where they break into a church and they start filling water bottles and canteens up with the holy water, and like everyone's just
Yeah.
watching them. But also the
Yeah.
canteen they have is like this big. That would have been like 10
Yeah.
minutes of filling that. And another thing
somebody would have
is that
stopped them.
never would have happened. That never would have happened in the Catholic Church, because in the Catholic Church we have a giant water thing that it even has a spigot and it dispenses holy water. At any time that any of the abuelitas need a ton of holy water, and by my abuelita, they didn't need a lot. She had like gallons of holy water at her house all the time. So Catholic churches, if you're ever in fear of vampires, Catholic Church is where you get your holy
Just
water, guys.
hit it up.
Fair.
Hit it up.
Yeah.
Find the faucet.
They're ready for you. And
Yeah.
so they start
They've been
preparing.
waiting for vampires
They
for
fill
millennia.
up. Yeah, they fill up a bathtub with holy water and they put garlic in it, and then they start making steaks and stuff. And then Star and the little kid basically do nothing except complain the whole
They just
time.
kind of hide. Yeah.
Yeah, they hide
just
in the
like, let's
bathroom.
go back
They
to
get the
sleep.
grandpa out. They tell the grandpa he has a fake date with his girlfriend. Which that was
which
nice
is
of them.
another cool part. Yeah, I think that like kind of helps to show that they still feel like a family, that they protect the grandpa, even though like up
Yeah.
until that point the grandpa's only been a nuisance.
Yeah.
And so I think that's cool. And so they get ready, and then another thing is that Star and Maddie the kid, they've been fighting the hunger so long that they're not as strong as David, as Michael. Because Michael, since he's brand new, it's not as hard for him to not drink blood, but they're like dying.
Right.
Right.
Withering.
And then, of course, the sun goes down and we see it through the beautiful boardwalk. The minute the sun goes
Santa
down,
Carla.
David wakes up, and the battle has begun.
Yeah. It's
And
time.
so, one cool thing about this movie, and we won't spoil all the murders, but like they tell us at the beginning, like anytime a vampire gets killed, it's never the same way, and sometimes it's slow, or sometimes it's very quiet, sometimes it's very loud. And I feel like that was just Joel Schumacher being like, "Oh yeah, I want every murder to look way different, so just put that in the script."
Right.
Because that's not,
It is cool.
it's not
I do-
vampire lore. It doesn't make sense.
I do want to say it is funny because this is also one of my favorite one-off vampire lines. Because the vampires are breaking in.
Yes.
And, there's a lot going on. We won't cover all of it, but one of them corners the Frog Brothers in the bathroom, and they like throw like garlic at him, and he goes, "Garlic don't work, boys."
No,
Yeah.
he goes. This is a fair, because all the other vampires only get one line, and this guy gets, but they all get real good ones because he goes, "Garlic don't work, sucker." It's like, what?
No, but then the Frog Brothers are like, but holy water does, and they kind of splash him a bit, and then he's like,
Yeah.
he's still, and then the dog comes in, and it's like, man, this dog just loves the bathroom.
I know, dude.
He's
And-
always hanging
And
out
protecting
there.
people.
Here's
The dog rocks.
pushes him in.
Here's
Yeah.
here's a tidbit, and I don't know if this is true or not. It wasn't in the trivia, but when you watch the movie, watch it again. I feel like they just threw the dog at the
Yeah.
guy, because the dog's not even facing the guy. He looks,
It's-
he's like,
I forgive animal stunt work. Let's just, you want
I
to be
just
nice
think-
to the animals.
like I saw the movie in theaters this month for the first time because they re-released it, and that was the first time I was like, did they throw that dog at the
That
guy?
dog.
Like,
Yeah.
he's not
It's a
even-
weird jump.
Which I guess it makes
I mean, I
sense. 'cause
believe
if he
it, yeah.
hadn't, they both would have fallen into the tub, and that wouldn't have made sense. But yes, this vampire
Yeah.
gets all the thing, and then all of the toilets and sinks start shaking, and then they just start shooting blood.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
house
the,
gets
the
destroyed.
whole house is
The kitchen, the toilet.
is messed
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. The
Um,
pipes.
I know. Like
And
this
then
house is
it's
so
I
unusable.
feel like we
Tragic. It's
should
a
talk
great
about the
house.
final twist because it's so
Yes, well,
ridiculous.
and before we get to that, so then they take care of all the vampires, and then him and David finally fight,
They
and
square off.
they're flying at each other. And another funny thing about this is that Joel Schumacher, Jason Patrick was like, "I'll take the role finally," because he had been trying to get him on for months. He's like, I'll take the role, but two things: I don't want to fly, and I don't want to wear the makeup." And then Joel Schumacher was like, "Okay, that's fine." And then Joel Schumacher comes in and he goes, "Okay, one thing, you're gonna have to wear a little bit of the makeup, and you're gonna fly a little bit." It's like, at this point, it's like I've done half the movie, I guess. And actually,
think?
another fun tidbit is that the makeup for Michael was the original makeup for David, but when they put on Kiefer Sutherland, Joel Schumacher said make it a little scarier, and so they just ended up using those same pieces for Michael. That's why it doesn't look as intense. But they start fighting, and then this is okay. This movie, and we'll talk in a second about another thing. But this movie has a lot of great lines. But then they're fighting, and right before, like, David's like, "Stop fighting me, Michael. My blood is in your veins," which is a cool line. But then Michael's response is, "So is mine." And then he like kills David, and it's like, "So is mine." That doesn't what? That's the worst villain or like one liner of all time. Like, it doesn't even
Yeah.
make sense at all.
Yeah, and you know he's
It's
still
like,
a
I'm
person.
still
I don't
me.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
It's-
kind of
it's
Yeah,
sweaty.
like
It's a little
it's just
sweaty.
kind of a nothing.
He
Yeah.
goes, it's
It's-
just been revoked.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, all right, I guess.
He's like,
It's like the
okay.
thing you say, and then you're
Uh,
just like to yourself, like, what am I?
Yeah, like
You know,
what the
he-
hell is that?
He does get the better of them, but then the vampires kind of look at themselves. They're like, we're still stuck. What's going on?
Yeah, and so then Max comes in and he's like, "Oh, my boys. You killed my boys, guys." And then Lucy's like, "What?" He's like, "I'm the med vampire." And then here's
It was
another
me
funny
all
thing with a
along.
connection.
This also feels like
Two.
the Simpsons episode though, where Marge turns out to be that they're like,
Yeah,
"You
it
are?"
is
She's
very like, oh,
I
okay.
got a life outside of this house. You're like, okay.
I mean, who else could it
What?
be? Yeah.
One final twist, I guess.
But then Michael does redeem himself because he turns into a vampire and he's like, "Join me, Lucy." And Michael goes, "I didn't invite you
Yeah.
this time." And it's like, hell yeah. I didn't invite you this
But
time,
see-
Max.
See, but that's like that to me is like the twist is almost they wanted to have the twist, but it's like, oh, but why didn't any of the holy water stuff work? Oh, if you invite him in, none of that stuff works. It's like that's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's like
Right.
that's almost
They just
too
can't
many
come in.
like convoluted
Yeah.
rules. It's like so you can't come in, but if you come in, that we're I don't know. It just that was a bridge
Yeah.
too far.
I don't know. It doesn't work.
So
But then this is a connection to another episode we did, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because they all attack Max and he throws them all off. And then Sam attacks Max because he tries to go after the mom. And he grabs Max and he's going to kill him. And I was like, oh my God, that's the exact same plan that the Shredder had in Ninja Turtles. Where he like they all try to attack him and he fights them all off, and then he grabs Leonardo and he's like, "I'm just gonna kill this one, or you guys can join me." And that's when the grandpa. That's when you hear the grandpa's car because
Comes
it
back
plays
in.
La Cucaracha for some reason. Yeah, La Cucaracha as a car
yeah.
horn was a very big staple of the '80s.
yeah,
Yes,
it's the
yeah.
comedy car horn of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you hear it, and then like, oh, and then another very funny scene. So you hear the car horn, it goes, "Bam, bam, 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 bam," and then the music sting is like a whole orchestra finishing that line. It's like dun 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 dun, and then a stake goes, and it hits Max, and he dies. And then the best
the grandpa ramps
the
his own
best
house with his
line
car.
read. Yeah, and then the best line read in a movie full of great line reads.
Yes.
Because the grandpa
this is-
goes, "Yeah, it's the only thing I didn't like about Santa Clara. All the damn vampires."
Yeah. Which
The
that
movie
scene is
just
crazy
ends?
because he's like in his kitchen in the dark and he's not talking to anybody. And Diane Weiss is like, "Dad, what's going on?" And the grandpa like opens the refrigerator and he pulls out a soda, but there's a part of the soda that looks red in the light. Like it's like has like a red tint to it. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
is this
yeah,
grandpa
yeah.
about to be a vampire? And then no.
Yeah, is he
but
a
I was
vampire?
like, because they were setting it up so
Yeah,
weird.
yeah.
It was like so scary.
But
Yeah,
but
it was
I
cool.
what I like is that it actually fully makes sense. Like all of the grandpa's actions, where he's like, "Oh, I just thought you guys knew about the vampires. That's why I don't go into town. That's why I like
Right.
I like
Right.
keep away. It's just very like to him. It's obvious. It's
And
like that's
to
why
be
there's all
fair,
the
like
murders.
Yeah.
earlier in the movie, when Michael and all them, or when David and all them are trying to antagonize Michael, there is floodlights on the outside of the house, which is very interesting. And there's a
Yeah.
gate even outside of the house, and I wonder if it's like, is a gate to keep vampires out because
These
they have to be
vampires out.
invited in, so that keeps them out even further away. But then that's
Yeah.
just one
Right.
ends
Right.
But yeah, I think this movie is super awesome. I mean, I think it's one of those things where there's so much to like about it that
Yeah.
it's hard to like. I mean, this is episodes longer than normal. I think it's just because like there's so much fun tidbits. I mean, from the sax guy to the why are you eating maggots, Michael, to just the music stings. It all
Right.
works really well together. Like Joel Schumacher, you could tell he like loves this project, and he put a lot of thought and care and passion into it. And so I mean the
Totally.
acting, the cast is great,
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
And yeah.
knocks it out of the park. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's good. I think that the one thing where I could almost see, um, it's such a weird time capsule of the '80s that I almost wonder if you were like a Zoomer watching this, like, would you be
Like, what
like,
would you
oh,
think?
do I understand this? Like, just
Yeah.
culturally, the movie, you know what I mean? That is
Right.
very
Right.
interesting to me, just because it feels very so time
Of
and
its time.
place,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like not just like, oh, everyone's dressed like the '80s, which is true, but also just like the kind of like youthful malaise of the '80s, where it's like, oh, all these like disaffected kids, and they're disaffected in a
Right.
different way today. But I don't know. I'd be curious to
Right.
see what Zoomers think of this movie.
Hmm.
Yeah. If you're a Zoomer and you're watching our podcast for some reason, tell us what you think of The
Yeah,
Lost
just
Boys
tell us in the
Yeah.
comments.
after
How
you
connected do you
watch it.
feel to these lost boys?
Yeah. But no, I think this is one of the good ones. I think you guys should go watch it. I think it's a lot of
Mhm.
fun. It's not that like I mean, there's a lot of murders, there's a lot of blood, but it's not like nobody really
Yeah.
seriously
It's
gets
more like
murdered.
a
Like none of the
family
main
movie.
casts that are
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
This is a
all
great gateway
it's
for
like
it, for
a
sure.
lot of blood, but it's like
Yeah,
actiony.
because
It's like actiony
Yeah.
blood,
there is
And it
scares,
doesn't
but
look
it's not
real.
like crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, and the
and
blood is
it's very
clear
fun. All the
red
characters are
goo.
cool.
Yeah.
comic
Yeah,
mischief.
exactly.
Yeah,
This could have been
Yeah,
PG
so go
13
check
if
it
they would
out.
have
Tell us
changed a
what you
few
think.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, this could have been PG-13 if they didn't love having blood shoot out of every orifice whenever anyone
Exactly.
gets killed.
Yeah.
But like, and that's the funny thing is that like that makes it sound like a joke, but it is like a few tweaks, and it could have been PG-13.
Yeah.
There's not even any real cursing in it, which
a
is
few
funny.
little
Yeah.
edits. Yeah,
I feel like
Yeah.
you take that Rob Lowe poster down, talking
yeah.
PG.
PG-13.
The
Yeah, yeah.
overwhelming
It's
sexuality
too
of
hot.
Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
We just need some parental guidance here. Yeah.
It's also funny because like even as us, we know Rob Lowe from like Parks and Rec and The West Wing and stuff, and it's like so to remember that Rob Lowe was a sex symbol in
Like
the
a
80s is a very
heartthrob.
funny.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know, it really is.
It's kind of like when you hear people from the 70s being like, there was nobody hotter than Dustin Hoffman, and I'm like, he's in a
Oh.
movie with Robert Redford. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, all right, I guess.
Cool.
But yeah, thank you guys so much. Hope this was a fun Halloween for you. Next week
Yeah.
we'll have our final episode for Trick or Treat, which is another great episode. Check out our deep dive. Check out the short film. Also check out my other films. Most of them are horror related. Borderland is even horror related because it's about the dangers of being married to a Mexican. Kind of. That is what the movie's about. But yeah, go check it out. And yeah, thanks guys. Have a happy
Happy
Halloween.
Halloween.
And we'll see you next week where we're going to start Sci-Fi November. I was going to do Sci-Fi September, then I forgot. So now we're doing Sci-Fi November. It doesn't fit as well, but that's where we are in life.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll come up
Sign
with
no more
something.
ladies. Yeah.
November.
Space
Yeah.
turkeys. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see you
Yeah,
guys next
we'll
week
figure it out.
on The Bomb Squad.